Please, Your Honor, I beg you. I've never been in trouble. I'm not going to harm anybody.
Piqua Police Station shows an emotional, tense, and allegedly intoxicated Officer Augustine trying to leave and drive home.
In a world where justice is supposed to prevail, what happens when those entrusted with upholding the law become the very criminals they swore to fight against? Corrupt cops, caught red-handed, face the unimaginable life sentences that shatter their once unshakable power. But what truly happens when the tables turn and they are forced to confront the consequences of their betrayal? These are the insane reactions of cops to life sentences. Our first story takes us to Kansas City, Missouri, where Eric DeValconaire faced charges of involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. On December 3, 2019, 26-year-old Cameron Lamb got into a heated argument with his live-in girlfriend. The argument was so intense that she stormed out, leaving their relationship in pieces. Angry and upset, Cameron got in his car and chased after her. Neighbors saw the high-speed chase and quickly called the police. Soon, helicopters were in the air tracking the situation. Realizing things had gone too far, Cameron stopped the chase and drove back home. As Cameron backed his car into his garage, he had no idea that Officer Eric DeValconaire, a 45-year-old cop, was hiding in his backyard with his gun drawn. Moments later, DeValconaire shot and killed Cameron.
You'll recall he's charged with involuntary manslaughter for the shooting death of Cameron Lamb.
Court documents show a car similar to the one Lamb was driving was involved in the car chase. Police followed him. Today in court, DeValconaire described the moment he shot Lamb.
In court, DeValconaire claimed he acted in self-defense.
He takes his left hand with the gun, and as he brings it along up and around the left-hand side of the steering wheel is when my focus moves from that weapon to the center of his chest. I bring my weapon from this position and drive it towards him. And as I acquire the front sight, I discharge around to his center mass.
But the prosecution had a different story.
We'll ask you to find in your verdict what this case you now know is really about. Careful and responsible police officers protect our citizens in their own homes. Careless and irresponsible police officers shoot our citizens.
They argued that DeValconaire shouldn't have even been there. He had entered private property without a warrant or probable cause, breaking the law before the shooting even happened. In the courtroom, Cameron's family couldn't hold back their emotions.
It was truly into this home, a place where we should be able to be vulnerable and relaxed and be okay and not worry about anything. Shut out the world.
Finally, the moment everyone was waiting for arrived.
Eric DeValconaire on count 1, the Class E felony of involuntary manslaughter in the second degree. I sentence you to a term of incarceration in the Missouri Division of Adult Institutions of 3 years.
The judge sent
alcohol assessment. Everybody that wrecks a cruiser, that totals it, has to go down there.
During the exchange, Augustine admitted to drinking earlier but denied being drunk at the moment.
Piqua Police Station shows an emotional, tense, and allegedly intoxicated Officer Augustine trying to leave and drive home. Earlier in the night, the uniformed officer crashing his cruiser into a flatbed trailer. Now he was refusing to take a drug and alcohol test.
His partner, concerned for public safety, insisted that Augustine could not drive home unless tested. Frustrated, Augustine became increasingly erratic, leading his partner to warn him that he was risking arrest.
Well, I can't let you drive the car home unless we test.
What the fuck are you gonna do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Is that the you're going to do this? You're about to get yourself arrested, bud.
For what?
What do you mean? What am I going to do? I can't let you drive. So you try to get in that car, I got to stop you, and then you're going to start fighting with me. What is that going to do?
Eventually, after calming him down, Augustine's partner left him in a room to process the DUI charge. When he returned, he found Augustine passed out. Despite attempts to rouse him, Augustine was unresponsive. After sobering up, Augustine resigned from his position. He was found guilty of DUI and sentenced to a $1,700 fine and 180 days in jail, with the possibility of having the jail time suspended upon completing a weekend educational course. In Benton County Circuit Court, Grant Hardin, the police chief of Gateway, Arkansas, was charged with murder and assault. In 2017, 59-year-old James Appleton was found dead in his pickup truck, shot on the side of the road.
It was along this road in early 2017, Sharon's comfortable corner of the world was shattered.
Heard the shot. That's when you heard the shot.
A booming gunshot, followed by the discovery of a man dead in his Gateway work truck.
He was an awesome brother.
The victim was James Appleton.
What Hardin didn't know was that someone had witnessed the crime. The witness came forward and identified Hardin as the killer. People couldn't believe how their own police chief could commit such a crime.
Moments after the deadly shot, deputies needed help finding the suspect. A name surfaced at the scene from a witness.
Did you physically see him inside the car?
Yes.
Who was it?
His name is Grant Hardin. I just know that he worked for Gateway as a policeman.
He is detained at this time.
Hours later, Grant Hardin.
But the surprises didn't stop there. When police ran Hardin's DNA through the database, it matched evidence from a 1997 case that had gone unsolved for 20 years.
Over 2 decades ago, a nameless, faceless man went into Frank Tillery Elementary in Rogers and attacked and raped Amy Harrison.
In that case, Amy Harrison, a school teacher, had been attacked in the teacher's lounge on a Sunday morning while a church service was happening in the school cafeteria. Hardin, armed with a gun, ordered her to lie down, take off her clothes, and stay quiet.
And I just remember jumping up and screaming and, oh my gosh, it was exhilarating. It was terrifying. It was hopeful. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just great.
In court, Grant Hardin admitted what he had done, but didn't explain why. For his crimes, Hardin was sentenced to 50 years in prison. The case shocked the town, but brought long overdue justice for 2 devastating crimes. Brian Parks, a police officer in Cleveland, Ohio, was charged with assault and tampering with records in October 2021. The incident began when Officer Parks pulled over a car for speeding. In his report, he claimed the driver crashed into his police cruiser and resisted arrest, but body camera footage told a different story. It was Parks who hit the driver's car. To make matters worse, the footage showed Parks tasing the driver twice, slamming him onto the roof of the patrol car, and then slamming the car door on his leg.
Investigators say it followed an October 2021 police chase. Investigators say the driver refused to pull over for speeding and possible window tint violation. Still handcuffed, prosecutors say the man was slammed into the back of a police cruiser by Parks.
My foot, man!
His foot then slammed in the police car's door. Today in court, that driver, Mario Garcia, said he was appalled by what happened.
When the truth came out, Parks was taken to court to face the consequences. The driver, Mario Garcia, had this to say.
I forgive you. I'm telling you I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget this.
Parks tried to defend himself, claiming,
"It was dark, it was cold, and he fled from the police. We were in a corner alley. I couldn't see anything."
Tearfully, he begged for mercy.
Please, Your Honor, I beg you. I've never been in trouble. I'm not going to harm anybody.
In the end, Parks was sentenced to 6 months in prison. John Romer, a police officer in Fort Worth, Texas, faced serious charges of aggravated assault and perjury after an incident in November 2016. It all started when the police were called to investigate a man, Henry New, who was suspected of trespassing at a local hospital. New explained that he was simply waiting for his parents to pick him up after a visit.
Okay, so are someone picking him up at the hospital?
No, they're picking me up from here.
This is the hospital.
But New quickly became frustrated with the officer's questions.
That's fine. I'm just trying to figure out what's he doing.
There's 1,000 other people walking in this thing, man. Come on, dog. You can't tell me there's a lot of 1,000 other people not walking. You came up to me, though? Are you serious? You're not doing your job. You acting like a substitute teacher right now. When the parents come in the conference. Don't do that, cuz. It's endless people walking
Yeah,
here.
you mind getting 292?
If you want to come to me, why?
Things took a turn when Officer Romer suddenly punched New in the jaw.
Bro,
Get down. Get down. Get down.
It didn't stop there. Romer ordered New to the ground and illegally handcuffed him without even telling him why.
Hey, just get down.
Give me your fucking hands. Give me your hands. Keep your hands. Give me your hands.
Just give him a hand. Give him the hand.
Yeah, cuffs.
Yeah.
Watch out.
I'm talking about one, dog. You punched me in my face 4 times, dog.
Yeah, I'll take you hit you some more.
Ain't touch you.
Get the other hand.
Oh, and
The other hand.
When New asked what was happening, Romer finally said he was being arrested for resisting, but New denied doing anything wrong. New was charged with criminal trespassing and resisting arrest, but the charges were dropped a few months later. Meanwhile, Officer Romer faced even bigger trouble. He told a grand jury that he had informed New that he was under arrest before punching him. However, the body cam footage told a different story. Romer was charged with aggravated perjury, lying under oath, and assault. In court, he still claimed he had done nothing wrong, but the evidence proved otherwise.
It is therefore the order, judgment, and decree of this court that the defendant, John Preston Romer Jr., is hereby sentenced to 5 years confinement in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Romer was sentenced to 5 years in prison and lost his badge. In San Diego County Superior Court, California, Jalen Fleer, a San Diego County Sheriff's deputy, is accused of using his power to assault minors. The incident came to light when Fleer was investigated after Crime Stoppers received an anonymous tip.
It started with a Crime Stopper report, so we're just kind of going from there. We did receive a picture that, when we looked into it, it looks similar to you. So I don't know if you can take a look at the picture and just tell me if you've seen this picture before. Oh, I have like 15 million things here. Okay.
Reports say that Jalen Fleer used Snapchat to talk to underage girls, trying to meet them for sexual activities. He allegedly offered them money, and one of the victims was just 12 years old. Fleer even asked these girls to bring their younger friends, promising them more money if they did so.
Do you have any younger friends who are interested in older men? I'll give you money to hook me up with them. The younger they are, the better.
The prosecutor showed the explicit messages Fleer sent to the minors. He also explained that the girls were too scared to report him to the police because he was an officer. Fleer's lawyer asked for a lighter sentence, saying that Fleer and his wife were about to have their first child.
Fleer and his wife were expecting the birth of their first child. The child was going to come any day. And Mr. Fleer, without hesitation, said, "I'm ready to surrender."
Fleer was sentenced to 12 years in prison without the possibility of parole. But before the sentence was given, the judge had something to say.
I have never seen a more despicable set of facts as I've seen in this case.
Jalen Fleer will spend most of his life in prison for hurting young girls. He will also have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Let's head to Circuit Court, Florida, where Zachary Wester is charged with racketeering and false imprisonment. According to reports, the 28-year-old former sheriff's deputy was accused of planting drugs on unsuspecting motorists during traffic stops. Despite the drivers denying any knowledge of the drugs, they were still arrested.
They said it appears to be an illegal narcotic. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Some of Wester's victims had prior offenses, which heightened the severity of the alleged possession charges. For those who resisted or insisted on their innocence, Wester resorted to using his taser. Suspicion arose following a series of arrests, prompting an internal affairs investigation. During the trial, Wester claimed he never planted any drugs.
The drugs were there. I did not put the narcotics there.
However, the prosecutor discovered something suspicious in one of Wester's body cam recordings. Some of Wester's victims also testified in court.
You've robbed me of my credibility being a mother and a grandmother for the last 3 years. I've probably missed 1.5 years of my grandbaby's life because of this.
The jury convicted Wester on 19 of the 67 charges and sentenced him to 12 years in prison.
In the state of Florida versus Zachary Tyler Wester, case number 19-CF-431. We, the jury, find as follows as to the counts charged in the information. Count 1, guilty of racketeering as charged. Count 2, not guilty. Count 3, not guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 5, not guilty.
Todd Pate, the Breen Ridge County Sheriff, appeared in court today for a plea hearing. The proceedings got off to a rocky start. A year ago, Pate was arrested for causing an accident while driving under the influence. He faced 5 felony charges, along with a second DUI charge. Pate was set to change his plea from not guilty to guilty, a decision he had already confirmed in writing. This agreement would allow him to serve just a few days in prison, rather than several years. To finalize the process, he simply needed to speak the words to Judge Janet Crocker.
Are you under the influence of any other drugs or alcohol today?
No, ma'am.
Have you taken any over-the-counter medication that contains codeine, antihistamine, or any other substance that would affect your ability to think clearly?
No, ma'am.
At this time, is it your desire to change your plea from not guilty to guilty?
The judge then checked with the prosecution.
Why am I wasting your time,
Mr. Chambers, what is the Commonwealth's position at this time, sir?
Your Honor, we would move to revoke the defendant's bond at this time. We took part in a lengthy mediation. We agreed to continue this case 2 months to enter this plea today. I think we've inconvenienced the entire court system by canceling a pretrial date and continuing this matter for 2 months for him to resign from office. So we moved to revoke his bond at this time.
Mr. Vowles, would you like some additional opportunity to meet with your client this afternoon before we proceed at this time?
Following that, the judge called for a recess, hoping Pate's lawyer could persuade him to reconsider. After the break, Judge Crocker resumed proceedings.
What is Mr. Pate's decision with respect to proceeding forward with entry of his guilty pleas?
So I believe he's still under oath, and I believe I'll just let him answer that question if it pleases the court.
All right. So, Mr. Pate, what is your position today with respect to entering a guilty plea here, consistent with the executed documents that have been tendered to me?
Pate responded,
Yes, I had every intention of coming in here today and entering a guilty plea based on the mediation that we had. It's very difficult for me to enter a guilty plea to felony-related charges that I've been in law enforcement for 25 years, and never have I ever charged someone with felony charges on a situation pertaining to this.
By this point, Judge Crocker was visibly losing patience.
But it's hard for me when I see Mr. Chambers sitting over there smiling. Let me just plea and get it over with for everybody. Plea to something that I absolutely do not feel good about, but I don't want you to try to send me to the penitentiary for years and years. If you can sleep with it, I can sleep with it.
Okay.
And this is probably unusual,
we're done.
but
At
let's
this
do
point in time, I think we're done. And so let me tell you where I think we are today, is that we have executed plea documents. Whether or not Mr. Pate has the right to withdraw his plea now that he's executed those plea documents remain to be seen.
At this point, Judge Crocker ruled.
Mr. Pate can withdraw his plea. But at this point, we've got a fully executed plea documents that provided in pertinent part that he was to serve 75 days in jail, and he's going into jail today under the terms of that plea. Whether or not proceed forward with the court accepting the Commonwealth's offer of pretrial diversion as opposed to rejecting that plea, which would give him the opportunity to then, of course, withdraw his plea. We got a whole lot of things to sort out, and we're not going to sort them out this afternoon. So if you'll look at your calendar and tell me when you can be back here next week. I can be here Thursday afternoon. I can be here anytime on Friday.
Ultimately, Pate pled guilty and agreed to the terms of his sentence. Giovanni Crespo, a Newark, New Jersey police officer, faced charges of aggravated manslaughter and official misconduct for a deadly incident on January 28, 2019. What began as a routine traffic stop involving 46-year-old Gregory Griffin and his friend quickly spiraled into a fatal encounter. Griffin was stopped for speeding and instructed to turn off his vehicle. Initially appearing to comply, he suddenly changed his behavior. As he rolled down the window, officers noticed something hidden under his thigh, raising immediate alarm.
Turn off the vehicle.
Turn off the vehicle. Turn it off. Turn off the car.
What?
Turn off the car.
What?
Sir, turn off the vehicle. Turn off the vehicle, sir. Turn it off. Get me that other unit. Open the window. Open the door.
What's up?
I got a 646. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Hands. Hands on the wheel. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Hands on the wheel. The car's off.
Despite their commands, Griffin resisted. Officer Sanchez attempted to open the car door, but Griffin sped off, initiating a high-speed chase through Newark with 5 police cars in pursuit. Officer Giovanni Crespo, among the pursuing officers, made a life-altering
It should be under his leg.
Does anybody fires a weapon here?
No.
He fired into Griffin's car, killing him instantly and injuring the passenger.
No, I didn't shoot. Who shot? Who shot?
Crespo shot. Crespo shot. No, they shot. Crespo shot, and they're gone. Who's there?
Who got a knife?
No, he just pulled off on me.
Crespo later justified his actions, claiming he had seen a gun under Griffin's leg and acted to neutralize a perceived threat. However, his body cam footage told a different story, leading to his indictment for aggravated manslaughter and official misconduct.
In 2019, Crespo explained,
I had to worry about my life and getting home to my kids at that moment.
During his trial, Crespo defended his actions. Despite his plea, the jury found him guilty, deeming his actions recklessly criminal. He was sentenced to 27 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 22 years. LaQuenda Banks, Derek Holman, and Curtis Traylor Harris have been charged with official oppression and property theft in Tyler, Texas. Reports indicate that the officers were at a home to serve an eviction notice, but after allegedly discovering evidence of drugs, they proceeded to search the entire house.
Oh, we got some cocaine.
oh,
Yeah, everything here. So,
this can go through here. We set that box right. We set that on that dresser.
what's this?
A box. That's her purse. Look in it. Probably not.
Before any drugs were found, Banks' attention was caught by something else. She began hiding stolen items in her clothing. In the footage, Banks appears suspicious as she stuffs items into her shirt.
Probably got some dope.
Why they leave all this stuff here?
Cause we told him to get out. That's the little girl purse.
Oh, okay.
I put all that in Derek's car. We tricked these drawers. Yeah, we got 2 hours. Y'all check these out.
It was later revealed that she had stolen. All charges against Jeter were dropped. In 2016, Corder was convicted and found guilty.
And I also missed a lot of Boy Scout events for my son Connor. I love my kids and my family, Your Honor, and if you could please impose the least possible sentence.
As a man of the law, there's an oath that they take, and it's to tell the truth. And in this situation, there was time given for Mr. Corder to tell the truth. He chose to say that I jumped out the back window. He chose to say that I pulled off on him. He chose to say that I resisted.
He was sentenced to 5 years in prison without the possibility of parole. What do you think about these officers? Let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.